Good morning. Good morning, listeners and viewers. Please stand by. We will begin this session in just a few minutes. Thank you for your patience. Good morning once again, and welcome to the Eccb Primary School Mentorship Program. We'd like to apologize for the late start due to challenges beyond our control in terms of the technical challenges. But nevertheless, we are here, and we welcome you to this exciting session, the Eccb Primary School Mentorship Program. And we are now being streamed live on Facebook and YouTube. Just a couple of housekeeping matters. We're asking our audience to mute your mics when you are not speaking. Also, keep your videos on at all times. And remember to unmute your mics when you are about to speak. Okay, for those who are participating, we invite you to accept the invitation to be promoted to a panelist when it appears on your screen. So with those housekeeping matters, we move right into our session for today. The Eccb Mentorship Program began in the year 2007, rather. It started as a reading program, and so we are now in our 15th year. And this is a program where we collaborate with various stakeholders, and a program that adds value to the social studies curriculum in the various schools. And so the Eccb has selected one school in each of the 8 member countries, okay? And we go into the schools, and we have this particular mentorship program, and this covers grades 4, 5, and 6. Now, a special focus is on grade 6 as they transition to high school, right? And so this is what this is all about today. Each year, we come together in this forum where we have all 8 countries represented, and we challenge the students, we speak to them, we share some tips about how they can transition successfully from the primary to the secondary high. And so today, we want to welcome all our students from across the region. We have Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, the Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Some 314 students are expected to be on this call today. And so without any further ado, we want to invite at this time a Grenada mentorship student. Okay, well, at this time, let me just begin with a word of prayer, and then we're going to move right into brief remarks from our Deputy Governor, Dr. Valda Henry, who is here with us. So bow your heads in a word of prayer at this time. Father, we thank you for this wonderful day that you have given to us. We pray that the boys and girls who are gathered here today would be inspired, they would be challenged, and they would have fun, and they would learn what it means to transition from the primary to the secondary. We pray for the speakers, the presenters, and we pray that this would be an entire learning experience that they would remember for years to come. We commit this proceedings into your hands, and we ask your blessings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen. All right. And so without any further ado, we invite our Deputy Governor, Okay. Just before we have that, could we hear from the various countries that are represented here today? Let's start with Anguilla. We want to make sure that you're here with us. Anguillans in the house, could you give us a shout out?
Good morning.
All right. Okay, so that's Anguilla. Very good. Let's go now to Antigua and Barbuda.
Good morning.
All right, we're hearing you loud and clear. Yes, and we are seeing you as well. Okay, and we go now to the Commonwealth of Dominica. Let's hear you. All right, that's Dominica right there. Yes, very nice. Okay. Let's hear from Grenada. Is Grenada in the house? Grenada? All right. Let's move on to Montserrat. Perhaps they're still getting themselves together. Montserrat, let's hear you. All right. Could we try that again? Montserrat, I heard the good. All right, good. Good morning, Montserrat. Let's now hear from St. Lucia. St. Lucia, are you in the house? Okay, St. Lucia is in the house. Yes, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Could you try that again? All right. Very good. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And now we go to St. Kitts and Nevis, right here at headquarters. Let's hear you, St. Kitts.
Good morning.
All right, we're going to try that again. Get the cameras on you. All right, let's go again. St. Kitts and Nevis.
Good morning.
All right. Good. All right, so we're hoping to hear from Grenada shortly as they finalize themselves. Okay, but in the meantime and between time, at this time, we will invite the Deputy Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Dr. Valda Henry, to share some brief remarks with us at this time. Put your hands together and welcome our Deputy Governor.
Good morning. Indeed, it is for me a pleasure to be here this morning to have brief remarks to our mentorship program, to the students from across our 8-member ECCU countries. I heard these happy shout-outs. And as I was asked to do this, in fact, last night I was like reflecting, what would I say to you? And I remember my time, and I know it has changed for some countries. There will be 2 days when there will be exams being examined on what? The 4 major subjects, maths, English, social studies, and science. And for some countries, they have moved on to continuous assessment. And so there is not just 1-2 days, but there is, a series of assessments. But whatever it is an assessment to determine which of the high schools you're going to, because fortunately, unlike in my time, you have universal secondary education. So every child gets the opportunity to attend high school. What happens with the assessment is that it determines in some countries which of the schools we get to go to. And so there are rankings from one to the last. There are rankings by not rankings in some countries, but in terms of the scores that you have received. And what I want to say to you is, as you prepare, recognize that with success, if you want success, you must work for it. You have to prepare. You have to study. You have to have discipline. I always say discipline is the key pillar. It's like the cornerstone of success. Because you could be very brilliant. You could have all the resources that your parents are able to provide you. But if you don't have the discipline to stop to study, if you don't have the discipline to determine what it is I want in my life or for my life, then almost always the success that others see in you, or even you may want for yourself, may not be achieved. And so it's not too early to be disciplined. It's not too early to determine what it is you would like to be. And that can change, because for me, I always wanted to be a teacher, and that has not changed. I consider myself a teacher. But you can change along the path and say, started off being a teacher, starting off to next turn to a doctor, to a medical professional, to a police officer, whatever it is. But what is important is having like a vision for your life. What do I wish or want to be? But also asking, what does God want me to be? You know why? Because each of us has a purpose. When we were formed, God knew us by name even before we were formed. So even before we were Miss Diaz and Mr. Sage and Mr. Herbert and Mr. Conaner, even before our names were given, can you imagine God knew that was going to be your name? That says how special and important you are. And for each of us, he has a purpose. And it's not too early to begin to ask him in your own small ways, because God listens to the voice of the children, even maybe faster than the adults. Because remember, he said, do not turn them away, because that's what makes up the kingdom of God. Ask him, what do you want me to be? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Because truly, we do have a purpose. Truly, you are chosen. And you know what it is to choose someone? You know when you choose your favorite dress to wear, or your favorite toy, or your favorite pencil to take to school? What are you saying when you do that? You are. This is the thing that I like the best, at least for the moment. So always remember that you are special, chosen with a purpose. But I also want to say to you that the results, and while we all want the best resource, and for those where you get scholarships and bursaries, we all want scholarships and we all want bursaries. And we all would like to be number one to number, in the top 10. Truth is, all of us can't get in the top 10 because there are so many more of you sitting these exams. But what I want you to know and remember always, that those grades, that scholarship or bursary or the score is not who you are. It is not what is going to determine whether you are going to be successful or not. It is not what makes you who you are as a person and as one with purpose. Those exams are important to help to gauge us on how we are doing. But never lose sight that, let us say you didn't get a scholarship, you came out number last. That last position doesn't determine you're going to be last forever. In fact, use that last position and find a lesson there. Why did I not get number one? What could I have done differently and better? And take that lesson with you to high school. Because you'll find that when you get to secondary, it is a different. Yes, there'll still be lots of time to play and so on, but much more is going to be expected of you. Your teachers are going to say, well, you've done the formative years, and now you are ready. Because truly, that's where you begin your preparation for where it is you want to be in life. And whatever that grade is, and not just for the exams but that you will sit in the next few weeks, but throughout your life, those scores, those grades are not what determines who you are. Think about your values. Your values that your parents and your teachers, parents have taught and teachers have tried to reinforce. Things like honesty, integrity, kindness, compassion for others. Those are important. Courtesy. You know, sometimes, and especially as people go, you know, as they progress in their careers, they think that those little things are not important. They're not courteous. But I say to you, courtesy opens doors that intelligence may not open. Because even if you are the most intelligent person, but you are unmannerly, you are rude, you are, you know, poor attitudes, doors may not open for you or open as quickly for you. Whereas you may not be the brightest spark in the class or in the workplace. But if you are courteous, if you are compassionate, if you are honest and kind, you'll find that doors will open for you that intelligence can't open. So yes, be intelligent. Be bright and curious. But always, always, keep strong to values like faith in God and prayer. It's not too early to start praying. Faith in God and prayer, courtesy, and all of these other good things are as important to make you the wholesome person that you are. So I wish you much success as you prepare. And you know what it is about success? It's not even about what you get. It's about, is that the best I could do? That is how success should be defined. Giving my best. We can't ask for more of you than your best, whatever that best is. And that's the question you must always ask yourself, even while you're studying, even while you prepare for exams and you prepare for life and for work. Am I being my best self? Is that the best that I can do? And if the answer is no, you then know what you must do. If the answer is yes, you say, I'm giving my best, but I can always try harder. And what do? You continue to strive for more. You continue to open up your minds and open up yourself to learn. And never get complacent. Never think you know enough. Because I'll say to you, the more you know, at least in my case, I tell myself, the more I know I need to know more. And that's what pushes me to strive for more. Because there's so much learning to be done. And learning is exciting. I love learning. It's exciting. And so, as I leave you my brief remarks, I want to bless you with the blessings from Numbers. May the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord uncover his face to you and grant you his peace. And may he also grant you the gift of wisdom, understanding and discernment, and give you his grace to know that with all things, and no matter what it is, God is right there and will always be right there with you. I love you and I bless you. Go out and be your very best and shine and soar. The world is waiting on you to do this. And so, for the schools, St. Kitts right here, Irish Tongue Primary School. Let's have a big shout out for Irish Tongue. In Anguilla, we have the Valley Primary School. Another shout out for the Valley Primary School. Antigua and Barbuda, we have T.N. Kernan Primary School. Big shout out. In my Dominica, and I recognize that school, Roseau Primary School. A big shout out. Grenada, St. George's Primary School. Wonderful shout out. St. Lucia, the Gordon Walcott Primary School. St. Montserrat, Braids Primary School. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines, C.W. Prescott Primary School. Let's now shout out to our primary school. And because we are live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube, to all of the schools across our ECCU and even our Caribbean beyond, the blessings and the wishes go out to all students. across our region, all schools. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Deputy Governor, for those rousing words of commendation to our children. And thank you for those words of wisdom that were shared. All right, boys and girls, viewers, listeners, we continue with our program, and just wanted to give you an idea of the layout. Today we have 4 sessions. We have session 1, where we hear about the various countries that we heard mentioned here today. That's called Let's Hear About Your Country. And then we've got session 2, which is making the adjustment from transitioning from primary to secondary. Session 3, it's about talking about your experience, where we hear from past students. Okay, 2 of our past students will share on their experiences. And finally, session 4 is the change in you. What changes to expect as you transition from primary to secondary. So we have an exciting lineup planned here for you today. But before we get into that, we want to do what we call an icebreaker. Are you ready, boys and girls, for the icebreaker? This one is entitled, Do You Have a Clue? All right, so we're going to see if we could discover some clues about the ECC member countries, okay, that are represented here today. And how we're going to do this is that each country was given the name of a specific ECCB member country. All right, so you received that name already, and the students will now take 5 minutes to come up with 3 clues, or if you can do it in 3 minutes, not a problem. So because you were prepared already, so you come up with 3 clues about that assigned country that you were given. Now, each country will have a turn to give their clues, all right? And what happens is that the first country to give the correct ECCB member country, which the clues describes, they will be the winner, all right? Now, students, you must wait for all 3 clues to be given before attempting to answer. And we're going to do it until all 8 countries get a turn. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with Anguilla. Anguilla in the house, and you have already been given your assigned country. And so you have to come up with your 3 clues, and we're going to invite Antigua and Barbuda to be the one that will answer. So each country will have an opportunity to present their clues, and each country will have an opportunity to present their answers. So are you ready? Are you ready? It's icebreaker time. Let's break the ice. Let's find out how well do we know our ECCB member countries. So Anguilla, are you ready? I'm going to give you 3 minutes, starting now. Okay, do we? Right, just indicate when you're ready. To announce your clues. And remember, Antigua and Barbuda, you are the one that is assigned to answer, right? But you have to wait until you hear all 3 clues, and then we give you the opportunity to answer, right? Okay. All right, so Anguilla is now working on their clues, and they will indicate as soon as they are ready to say those 3 clues. And Antigua and Barbuda will be standing by to see if they can guess the correct answer. Let's see how many Sherlock Holmes we have in here today. All right. Anguilla, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so go close to the microphone and let's hear you loud and clear. Clue number 1.
The national bird is parrot, the English parrot.
The national bird is the...
Parrot. Yes, the parrot. The second clue is the three pitons, and the capital is Heronora.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to
Castries,
repeat
sorry.
those clues because they...
Castries, sorry.
Okay, let's start from clue number 1 again. Loud and clear. The national bird is the parrot. That's what you said. Remove your mask,
Yes.
please. Once you're
The
speaking,
parrot.
please remove your mask.
The first clue is the parrot.
Okay, the parrot. National bird, yes.
The
Second clue?
clue is the pitons.
I'm not getting that second clue.
The second clue is the pitons.
Oh, the pitons, right? Third clue?
The capital is Castries.
Capital is Castries. All right. Antigua and Barbuda, your turn to answer. Which country is this? Antigua and Barbuda, which country do these clues represent? Do we have someone to answer? I see some hands, but I need somebody to go to the mic and answer. Do we have a response from Antigua and Barbuda?
Say Lucia!
All right, put your hands together. You're right on target. Say Lucia. And they sang it out in a chorus. All right, let's go now to Antigua and Barbuda. Get ready, Antigua and Barbuda. You have your specific country that was assigned to you, right? And the Commonwealth of Dominica is the country that will be answering your clues. So go ahead, Antigua and Barbuda. Let's hear your clues. If you have them already, you can go right ahead. Commonwealth of Dominica, stand by to answer, but wait until all 3 clues have been announced. All right, I'm getting some feedback, some echoing. Remember to keep your mics muted if you're not speaking. And the rest of the countries, you can work on your clues in the meantime because you have your assigned country already. So let me know when you're ready, Antigua and Barbuda. Unmute.
The first.
Go ahead.
The first is black sand.
The first is, could you repeat that slowly? The first is?
The first clue is black sand.
Black
The
sand?
black island has black sand.
Black sand. Okay. First clue is black sand. Second clue? Could you say that loudly for me, please? We're not hearing you clearly. And the others, you'll have to be quiet so we can hear.
The second clue is that there are 2 islands.
There are 2 islands. That's the second clue. 2 islands. Very nice. Let's hear the third clue now.
Right there.
The third clue is that they have monkeys.
They are.
They have monkeys.
They have monkeys. All right. They have monkeys. Okay. So here, let's go to Commonwealth of Dominica now. All right. Antigua and Barbuda, you can mute your mics. And let's go to the Commonwealth of Dominica to answer. Do you have an answer for me? Black sand, 2 islands, monkeys. Which country are we talking about? All right. Come on, give them a hand. St. Kitts and Nevis. Man, you guys are knocking this thing out of the park, man. You have to get some gifts. All right, let's go now to the Commonwealth of Dominica. Your turn now. So get your clues ready. And we'll have Grenada. Is Grenada now in the house? I know you were having some challenges. Right, okay. So Grenada, stand by. Stand by to answer, but wait until all 3 clues. Go right ahead. Commonwealth of Dominica, let's hear your clues.
First clue. I lie in the southern Lesser Antilles with my chain of smaller islands.
Okay.
Second clue. My flag shines with golden and green diamonds.
Could you repeat that
Third
second
clue.
one for me, please?
My flag shines with golden and green diamonds.
Okay.
Fourth clue. My capital belongs to kings.
My capital belongs to? Kings.
Kings.
Kings, right? All right. Okay.
Who am I?
Right. So, Grenada, it's your turn now. The clues were given. What say you? Make sure your mic is unmuted so we can hear you, Grenada. Are you ready? Which island is this? Grenada, you're muted still. Unmute. Yeah, okay. All right. Grenada seem to be having a little bit of technical challenges. So while they are sorting that out, hold on to your answer, Grenada, and we will move on. And once you get that sorted out, just send us a message, and we can have your answer. All right. So let's move to Montserrat at this time. And Montserrat, you get ready for your clues. St. Kitts and Nevis will be responding to your clues. St. Kitts and Nevis, get yourselves ready. Montserrat is about to give their 3 clues, and then you will have a turn to answer. So Montserrat, you can unmute and you can go ahead as soon as you are ready.
Tourist attractions on island.
Okay, Montserrat, we're not hearing you clearly, so you have to go closer to the mic and increase your volume.
Major tourist attractions on island include Half Moon Bay, Stingray City, Nelson's Dockyard National Park, and Devil's Bridge.
Okay, so that's just one clue. That's the first one. Major. Okay, no, we have another. 1 second. So major attraction on the islands. I heard Nelson's Dockyard and Major's Bay and Half Moon Bay. Okay. Go ahead with your second clue.
It is said that this island has no lakes or rivers and also no snakes except for the Wasa snake. It has 365 beaches.
All right, 365 beaches. I got that one.
The national symbols include the national fruit, which is the black pineapple.
Sorry,
the national tree.
could you adjust that video a bit? We're not seeing you. Okay, right. Go ahead again.
The national fruit, which is the black pineapple. The national tree, which is the whitewood. The national bird, which is the frigate, and the national animal, which is the fallow deer.
I didn't get that last word. I got black pineapple as the national food. All right. Okay. Yes, St. Kitts, are you ready? Let's get the cameras on St. Kitts. Let's get the cameras on St. Kitts and let's see St. Kitts and Nevis. And let's get their answer. And so we have major tourist attractions. That was one of the clues. Nelson's Dockyard. And then we had the 365 beaches. And then we have the national, one of the national foods, the black pineapple. Those were the notes that I got. All right. So, St. Kitts is getting ready to answer. St. Kitts and Nevis. Are you ready? All right, let's hear from you. Do you have a clue? Hit the cameras. All right, Antigua and Barbuda. Don't forget. Right. Put your hands together. Antigua and Barbuda. Very good. All right, we're moving nicely along. We're doing well. Grenada, are you ready by any chance for us? Were you able to sort it out? Okay,
Yeah,
looks
we're
like
ready.
Grenada is ready. Can you tell us what country that was,
We are
Grenada?
ready.
You remember the clues, right?
St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Oh, you're so right. Very good. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You're right on target. Very nice. Okay. Now we go to St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis, it's your turn. And you were given a country. And St. Lucia is the country that will respond to your clues. All right, so the students there in St. Lucia, get yourselves ready. St. Kitts and Nevis is going to be sharing their clues in just a minute.
The imperial Amazon or Cicero is found only on this island.
Okay, could you repeat that? Just repeat that for me.
The imperial Amazon or Cicero is found only on this island.
Okay, the imperial Amazon or Cicero.
The island is located right in the middle of Hurricane Alley.
Right in the middle of Hurricane
Alley.
Allen.
Alley.
Hurricane Alley. All right. Let's get the third clue.
English is the official language, but French patois is commonly spoken.
All right. English is the official language, but French patois is officially spoken. St. Lucia, are you ready for us? Do you have a clue?
Yes.
All right. I hear yes.
1, 2, 3.
Dominica.
What's that? All right. Dominica. Don't forget, we want the full name, Commonwealth of Dominica. Put your hands together for the students. Commonwealth of Dominica. Boy, we have a lot of Sherlock Holmes around here, man. You guys are doing well. Detectives in the house and these clues. All right, let's go now to St. Lucia. St. Lucia, you have your assigned country. We've got 2 more to go. Right? And St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you will be responding to these clues. Okay. Looks like St. Lucia is all ready and set. I see her standing at the mic. Oh, sitting. All right, St. Lucia, are you ready? St. Vincent and the Grenadines, stand by. Listen.
Put the paper down. Right.
A lake at the heart of an extinct volcano.
Okay.
An underwater human sculpture park.
All right. Your voice is a bit soft. I'm not hearing you clearly. So could we get you a little closer? Right. Try again.
Put the paper down loudly.
A lake at the heart of an extinct volcano. An underwater human sculpture park. A nutmeg can be found on the flag.
All right. A lake at the heart of an esteemed volcano. I heard that. Okay. I heard something about nutmeg, correct?
Read it again.
Okay.
A nutmeg can be found on the flag.
Okay. A nutmeg can be found on the flag. Yes.
Next one.
Go ahead.
An underwater human sculpture park.
What's that? I didn't get the third one.
An underwater human sculpture park.
An underwater culture park. Okay. All right. Okay. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, your turn. Do you know the answer? Which country is this? Go ahead, let's get the cameras on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You can mute your mics now, St. Lucia. Make sure your mic is muted. And let's turn the camera on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. All right. Are you ready to answer? Which country is this? I see a big smile there, so it seems like she's ready to answer. Do you have an answer for me? Unmute, yes. Unmute your mic. Which country is this? What's that? Could you say that one more time? Oh, was it Grenada you said? Okay, all right. Put your hands together. Very good. Thank you. You guys are doing well. Awesome, awesome. One more, final one. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Anguilla is the one who will be responding to your clues. All right, so go right ahead and tell us your clues. C.W. Prescott Primary. You have your 3 clues ready?
This country has an active volcano.
Okay, I didn't get that first clue. Oh, active volcano. Country has an active volcano. Right. That's what you said?
Yes.
Right. Okay, good. Okay, let's try that second clue. We're getting some feedback. Could we try that one more time? I'm not hearing that second clue clearly. Yeah. Could we have somebody read that clue for us, please? Because I'm not getting that second clue at all.
Okay, the capital is Plymouth, and it has a population of approximately 5,000.
The capital is Plymouth? Okay. Right. It seems as if one of those clues is the capital is Plymouth, correct? Plymouth? All right. All right. Do we have a third clue or that was it?
God created it has a population of approximately 5,000 persons.
All right. Yeah? Yeah. Oh, sorry. All right. Okay. Anguilla, you want to try that one? I wasn't able to pick up on the third clue. I have active volcano. I have the capital, Plymouth. But I'm not sure what was the third one. It was a bit of challenge with the audio. Okay. Anguilla, are you ready? You want to give it a try? Unmute your mic and go right ahead. Montserrat, yeah! Yeah. All right. Now, did everybody get a turn to ask to give their clues? Grenada, did you get an opportunity to share your clues? If not, go right ahead.
Number 1.
Mhm.
It is a flat, low-lying leeward island that was first inhabited by the Caribs and the Arawaks. Number 2. It has no.
What was number 2 again?
No. Number 2. It has no rivers.
Okay.
Number 3. Its capital means low land between two mountains.
Capital means lowlands to mountains. Montserrat, it's your turn to answer. Montserrat, it's your turn to answer. Final member country. We heard about the Caribs and the Arawaks. And this country has no rivers. And its capital means lowland. Go ahead, Montserrat. Tell us which member country is this. What's that? Could we get that again one more time? All right. Was it Anguilla you said, right? Okay. Yeah, the audio keeps cutting out, but I think we got it. Give them a hand. Anguilla. Nice. Woo! All right. Okay. So we have come to the end of our icebreaker, and I'm sure, boys and girls, that you would have learned something about each of our member countries. And that's what the mentorship program is all about. Okay? Once you would have passed through our mentorship program, it's a learning opportunity, okay, to learn about the various countries of the ECCB, the member countries. All right, so we'll now move into session 1, which I indicated. Let's hear about your country. And so the mentorship students, each country will be given a few minutes to say something about their country, and they can choose any format. It could be poetry, short drama, song, or other presentation. No more than 5 minutes, okay? So let's hear about your country. Now we're going to reverse the order, and we will start with St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They will be first. Second up will be St. Lucia. Third position will be St. Kitts and Nevis. And then they will be followed by Grenada, number 4. Number 5, Montserrat will come in right after that. And they will be followed by the Commonwealth of Dominica. Antigua and Barbuda will come up number 7. And finally, Anguilla will bring up the final position, 8. All right, so these are our 8 countries, and they will be coming in that order. So get yourselves ready to share a little something about your country. Let's hear about your country. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you will start the ball rolling. Okay? And we'll put the cameras on you now. Go right ahead.
Our national flag bears the colors blue, yellow, and green, with green diamond shaped. We celebrate our independence on the 27th of October of each year. On my island, we love to eat roast breakfast. Our national dish is roast breakfast and fried breakfast. The national bird on my musical country is we are all together, you say we are all together, you say love you, started from it's a Caribbean sea, where cocoa, and coconut, and banana tree. There are we are all together, you say we are all together, you say
All right, put your hands together. We're out to build a new St. Vincent. Very nice, very nice. All right, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they've started the ball rolling. Let's now go to St. Lucia. Remember, those who are not presenting, keep your mics muted so we can hear the others very clearly. All right, St. Lucia is up now. Yes, please unmute your mic now, St. Lucia, so we can hear.
You ready? Yes. It's pretty, pretty little mountain town. Let's try all this little town. It's pretty, pretty little mountain town. Let's try all this little town. I know that you'll never forget. It's the big town on all this weekend. La 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 la. You never compost if you on your toes. You got to be too happy about it. So la 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 la. Nothing has to chop outside. Let's help us bring to keep your pussies right. St. Lucia, St. Lucia. We'll keep you feeling love forever. St. Lucia, St. Lucia. What kind of lovely beaches surround her? St. Lucia, St. Lucia. Ah, this is St. Lucia. I know you never forget to keep that Saint Lucia, Saint Lucia, we'll keep you in love forever. Saint Lucia, Saint Lucia, why shall the lovely beaches surround her? Saint Lucia, Saint Lucia, ah, this is Saint Lucia. I know you never forget that she's the Ellen of the West. Saint Lucia, Saint Lucia, when can you give your love forever? Saint Lucia, Saint Lucia, why shall the lovely beaches surround her? Saint Lucia, Saint Lucia, ah, this is Saint Lucia. I know you never forget that she's the Ellen of the West.
Put your hands together for St. Lucia, Helen of the West. Okay, you can mute your mic. Thank you, St. Lucia. All right. And now, St. Kitts and Nevis.
Saint Kitts and Nevis, we love you all the time. Saint Kitts and Nevis, the land of beauty. Saint Kitts is colloquially known as Sugar City, and Nevis, Queen of the Caribbean. Saint Kitts and Nevis is separated by 2 miles at the nearest point. These 2 sister islands are the smallest independent countries in the Western Hemisphere. Might we add, we can boast of a UNESCO heritage site known as the Brimstone Hill Fortress and the birthplace of a founding father of the United States, Alexander Hamilton. Our people are not only allowing, but can be considered gems of this volcanic island we call home. Saint Kitts and Nevis, we love you all the time.
Put your hands together for St. Kitts and Nevis. Yes, and now we invite Grenada, Spice Island.
Somewhere in the blue Caribbean Sea lies a tiny, lovely island. Blue skies and white sandy beaches in abundance all around. Friendly greetings from the natives, sweet pan music in the villages. This lovely island is Grenada, Spice Island of the West Grenada. Grenada, a beautiful gem of the Southern Caribbean, is located 12 degrees north latitude and 61 degrees west longitude. Grenada, along with its dependencies, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, is 133 square miles. We have 7 parishes, with St. George's being the capital city. In Grenada, you can find many natural and historic sites, such as the many white sandy beaches, sparkling waterfalls, mountains, lakes, forts, plantation houses, underwater sculpture parks, just to name a few. Grenada, the island of fun, everything that is nice. And when you think of beauty, Grenada really has a lot. You can visit Grenada, visit romance. You can relax on the sand and have a beautiful sunshine. From Grenada, if you please, the skyline of the West Indies. We are happy people and gay, beautiful and friendly everywhere, and I want sunshine every day.
Grenada has a rich history from the Caribs and Arawaks to the British and the French, as well as the Grenada Revolution. Many people fought for ownership of this wonderful island. In 1974, we became an independent nation, and we now have our own national flag, anthem, and a pledge. Fair island of the Caribbean Sea,
This land I give to thee, and every morning as I wake, this land and you I make. Grenada, Grenada, I give my life to thee, unto eternity. God bless thee from above, my land, my home, my love.
Put your hands together for Grenada. Oh, they had me jigging to that song there, boy. Yes, okay. Montserrat, your turn. Braids Primary.
Your children raise your standards high in toil and tears to serve you well. The emerald jewel from God's hands. O Montserrat, thy nature blessed, to you your children sing. Come, wonderful to your people cling. Rise up and make your country great. With thanks and skills and sacrifice, with masks and drums, we celebrate. Triumphant masters of God's name. O Montserrat, thy name blessed, to you your children sing. Come, friend of foe, to you your people sing. Sing Allah in harmony. May God be heard, eternal God, and make Montserrat a you, children, sing. Come, brother, come, friend of us, your people bring. Pestilence shall not shore. No fatal sadness overwhelm, and people striving after God. Their spirits free forevermore. Oh, Montserrat, riding childless, to you your children sing. Come, fellow, come, friend of folks, to you your people bring.
All right. Very nice, Montserrat. Beautiful blending song there. Now we hear from the Commonwealth of Dominica. All right, Dominicans in the house. Unmute your mics, please. Yes. Could you please unmute? Yes. Thank you.
What beauty at its best. Was that true? Oh, really? So put on your adventure hat and head towards the untouched Isle of Beauty. It's the only place in the world you will see natural hot springs, an active underwater volcano, tranquil freshwater lakes filled with emerald water, lush green rainforests, stunning waterfalls scattered throughout the isle, and pristine mountains. An experience. Oh, what a magical experience! What a magical experience! Our variety of flora and fauna cannot be duplicated anywhere else. Making your trip worthwhile is our pleasure and our sacred duty. Oh, yeah? The sunsets are a wondrous sight that no two are alike. Descending upon the ocean, taking with it our daylight. The sky begins to darken with air so clear. The evening sky becomes a glorious sight. Oh, la la! An island of such lush intoxication, rising to sheer heights, where a multitude of rivers cascade through primitive forests to meet the ocean swell, feeding the astonishing coral reefs that are exploding with vibrant colors below. A gift of what other islands long to have. Simply rustic, traditional, resourceful, wrapped in her natural beauty. Dominica, oh, sweet Dominica, my dear isle.
All right. Put your hands together for the Commonwealth of Dominica. And to that we can say, ooh la la. Very nice. Okay. Antigua and Barbuda. Your mic is open. Mute your mic until you're ready to begin, please. Grenada, could you please mute your mic? And anybody else who has their mic open? Is the mic still open?
In Antigua,
Barbuda?
land of sun and sea and tranquility. This coastal island in the Caribbean Sea has very old its own identity. I guarantee it's a place you want to be. There are so many reasons to come here. Welcome everyone. Welcome to our shores. Come see, we are second and have fun galore. In Antigua, we wake up to the sun and people. Welcome everyone. Let nature awake your appetite. Enjoy it. The tropical delight. The flavor of this enchanting country. Forever will haunt your memories. In Antigua, we wake up to the sun and people. Welcome everyone. Let nation awake your appetite. Enjoy it. Tropical delight. The flavor of this enchanting country. Forever will haunt your memory. Something is interesting.
All right. I see those flags waving high. Is that Antigua and Barbuda? Are you finished? All right, let's hear it for Antigua and Barbuda. Waking up to the sun. Final country, Anguilla. Standing by to hear from Anguilla. It's wonderful to see all the different flags of the various countries. And Anguilla is standing by to give their presentation. Remember to unmute your mic once you've started your presentation. We want to make sure we hear everything. All right, Anguilla is ready. Beautifully rendered there by the Valley Primary. Wonderful indeed. All right, let's put our hands together for all 8 countries represented here today. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, Montserrat, Commonwealth of Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, and finally Anguilla, the 8 member countries of the ECCB. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are now moving into our second session, which is making the adjustment. Okay, how do you transition from primary to secondary? And we have a very special person here with us today to present to you. She's going to be talking about things like the new environment, your class structure, studying, self-management, that sort of thing. How do you transition from
Good morning
primary?
to the host. We can't hear you. This is Monster. You're still muted. So can you unmute your mic, please?
All right. Okay. Thank you. So we'll now move into the session 2, making the adjustment, transitioning from primary to secondary. And to do that for us is our special guest here today, Mrs. Kayla Alley. She's a psychologist who avidly enjoys making a difference in the lives of children. She's currently employed as the school guidance counselor at the Sir Ira Simmons Secondary School in Castries, St. Lucia. Yes. Mrs. Alley also maintains a private practice providing psychotherapy and counseling to children and adults. And she has been registered as a psychologist with the Allied Health Council of St. Lucia since 2015. Prior to obtaining her master's degree in 2014 from the York Hill University in Canada, Mrs. Alley obtained an honors Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from Western University in 2011. Since completing her formal schooling, she has participated in numerous training and continuing education programs in various fields related to mental health and wellness, including trauma, conflict and stress management, self-care, academic and post-secondary guidance, and child welfare. Mrs. Alley's passion for fostering positive change in the lives of others, this is what motivates her to do her best every day. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I present to you Mrs. Kayla Alley of St. Lucia.
Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm sorry I can't physically be with you, but I'm happy to be here to present to you virtually. My presentation today will be about the transition to secondary school. So I'm going to follow this PowerPoint presentation. I've laid out some general tips that I just want to share with you. So I hope that everyone enjoys. So let's get started. We can move to the next slide. Thank you. Wonderful. So as our host mentioned to you, my name is Mrs. Kayla Allen. I am a school counselor at a secondary school in St. Lucia. So a special hello to all of my students from St. Lucia. And one of my favorite things to do is these kind of presentations. So to speak to students about what they can expect when they're moving from primary to secondary school. Next slide. Great. So I'm sure all of you know that change is coming. You're about to take this step, and it is a big step. You should be proud that you've reached this point in your schooling and that you're moving on to a new school. But I know with big change, sometimes there are a lot of feelings involved in that. So I want to talk to you about some of the ways that you can be prepared to make this exciting change in your life. Next slide. Wonderful. So some of the things that we will talk about today are your feelings, your emotions. So how do you feel about making this change? We're going to talk about some of the differences between primary and secondary school. I'm going to share with you some information that can help you to feel more prepared and, just help you to feel ready to make that change. I'm going to give you some tips to help you be successful. And these are tips that I've shared with students for the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, basically to help your transition go a lot smoother. And then I'm going to answer some common questions that come up from the students that I've worked with. So by the end of our little discussion here, you should feel more informed and confident about entering and moving on to your new school. You should feel more comfortable with some of the changes you'll experience because you're going to know a little more about what you can expect. You should feel more relaxed about making new friends and establishing new relationships with teachers, for example. And you'll feel better prepared to become a focused and hardworking secondary school student. Because as one of the previous speakers mentioned, there will be a lot of, new expectations on you. And it's good that you get yourself ready from now so that when you enter secondary school, you already have a good footing. So let's dive right into the presentation and let's talk about what you can expect from secondary school. So the first part of the presentation will be how to cope with your transition. Thank you. Okay, so as I mentioned, there are a lot of changes that come with moving from primary to secondary school. I want you all to just take a minute and think to yourselves, and in your classrooms, if you want to kind of just say it out loud, you can. What's the first emotion or the first feeling that comes to your mind when you think of starting secondary school? I just want you to think to yourself, what pops into your head? How do you feel? Great, next slide. So it's very normal to feel mixed emotions, to feel a range of both positive and negative emotions about any new experience, especially this one, because it is such a big change. So if we move to the next slide, I'm going to go over some of these different feelings, and I'm wondering if this is what you thought of. So you may have thought of one of these things, you may have thought of more than one, because as I said, it's normal to feel a range of emotions. So you may feel excited, you may feel a bit fearful or scared or even nervous. You may feel anxious. You may feel some doubt or worry because you don't know what to expect. You may also feel very curious because it is a change. You may feel happy that you're moving on and you're going to be in a different school. And you may also feel pride. And I hope each and every one of you feels pride. You feel proud of yourself for all of the accomplishments that you made to reach this point. So as I said, all of those feelings are normal. And as we move through the presentation, I'm going to hopefully try to reduce some of the negative emotions you feel and help you increase those positive emotions. So some great ways that we can do this is to talk about your concerns and fears with your parents or trusted adults, or even with your friends. So if you're all sort of feeling the same thing, it's sometimes a great way to talk to each other so that you can help to reduce some of those fears or nerves or the anxiety that you feel. You can learn as much about your new school as possible before the new school year starts. You can discuss your questions with family and friends to help you learn more information, because I find the more you know, sometimes the better it is that you feel. You can prepare all that you can and all that you need ahead of time so that you feel ready. And you can reach out to members of your class because, as I said, it's great to talk to friends or other people around you because you're likely feeling a lot of the same feelings. So as I said, often we feel those negative emotions when we don't know what to expect. So that's why it's so important for us to talk about, some of the things that you can expect and can anticipate when you move on to secondary school. So that's where we will head with the next part of our presentation. Next slide, please. Great. So what are some of the differences between primary school and secondary school? So I like to point out some of what students tell me are the biggest differences to them. There will be many differences, but I think these are the ones that sort of stand out at first. Every primary school is different and every secondary school is different also, but you find you get some things that are common. So for example, in primary school, you may have had a few bells during the day. So you have a bell to start the day, you have break, lunch, end of day. In secondary school, sometimes it's common to have up to 15 bells per day to mark the start and end of each class, to mark your break, your lunch, changing of periods, and then again, the start and end of the day. So sometimes you're hearing a lot more bells and it takes time to get used to these things. The second biggest change I want to mention is in the workload. So in primary school, you typically have about 3 to 5 main subjects. Your focus is on language and math acquisition, and then you have other courses and other classes in addition. In secondary school, you can have 10 or more subjects, and each one has an equal focus. So many of the subjects may be new to you and may be unfamiliar, but what you'll find is that you are exposed to a lot more in secondary school, and it's a good way for you to find out what your interests are and what you maybe want to pursue later on for CSEC or for your examinations. At the secondary school that I work at, we actually have 13 subjects that students start with when they begin secondary school. So just to give you an idea. The next biggest difference may be the teachers that you encounter. So what I find about primary school is most times you have a homeroom teacher or a teacher that you work with very closely and you see a lot throughout the day. Sometimes they can even teach you more than one subject. In secondary school, depending on how many periods you have during the day, you may see up to 8 teachers sometimes it's 7, it could be a little bit more, but you have a homeroom teacher, but it's very common for you to see them for a short bit of time, but then for you to see your subject teachers even more often. So you may have to get used to seeing a lot more faces in secondary school. And then time is also another thing that students mentioned to me is different. So primary schools sometimes start about 8:45, 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there. Most secondary schools actually start a little bit closer to 8 o'clock. So that might mean you have to make some changes to your schedule and go to bed earlier so that you can wake up earlier so that you're ready for your day. Okay, we can move to the next slide. I just want to note a few more important changes that I find that students also mention. So one of the big things I think that students are sometimes a little bit sad about is that you're leaving friends that you've been with for the past few years if you aren't going to the same school as them. The good thing about this, so the positive, is that you are going to meet a lot of new friends in secondary school. And because you're all coming in from different places, you'll all have that in common. So that's a great plus that you can think of about secondary school. Next is you're no longer a senior student of the school. And what I mean by that is you're grade 6 students now, so you're likely the oldest students in your school. When you move into secondary school, you're going to be one of the youngest students at the school. So that's a change that some of you have to get used to. It's not a negative thing. It just means that it's a little adjustment you'll have to get used to again, kind of being, one of the younger students. And then as you move up each year, you will get back to that senior position by the end of your secondary school journey. And then one of the final big changes I want to mention is that you're responsible for making sure that you have your supplies for each class each day. So as I mentioned before, sometimes you can have up to 8 classes in a day. And this means different textbooks. Sometimes the teacher will ask you to bring an exercise book. Some of them ask you to bring file sheet or paper, pens, pencils, erasers, your electronic devices. Now we all have to carry our masks and hygiene products. So it just means that you have to make sure that you are very responsible and that you are mindful about everything that you need, because if you're missing some of these things, it really takes away from your classroom experience. You want to be as ready as you can for your day, each and every day, for you to be successful. Next slide. So I'm going to share with you some tips about how you can prepare for secondary school before you even get there. So these are things that you can start doing as early as now or over the summer. So 4 ways that you can prepare for school before you even start. You can learn as much as you can about your new secondary school. This is to help you feel more prepared and comfortable. One tip that I give to students is when you get your new school books, so somewhere in the summer or just before school starts, you can start to look over them so that you get an idea about the new subjects, so that when you start class, they don't seem completely new to you. You can familiarize yourself with all of the supplies that you need early so that you have an idea of what you can expect in each class. And one of the best tips that I have for you is if your school has a registration activity or an orientation activity, you can attend these so that you learn and visit your new school. There's nothing like actually getting to see it for you to really understand where it is that you're going. Next slide. So how to be successful once you transition to secondary school. So a great tip is to establish what I call healthy friendships. So with both students and teachers, you're going to want support. So you're going to want people around you that make you feel comfortable, that people that make you feel safe. So healthy relationships are relationships that are respectful, they're honest, they're comfortable, they're age appropriate. And what I mean by that is I recommend that you make friends with students that are in your form or in your grade, and that they're safe. Next slide. So some ways that you can do this is by talking and sharing interests with different people so you can learn about what they like and share what you like. Be confident and be yourself. That's the best way to make friends so people get to know the real you. Be kind and be helpful to others. Be respectful and responsible always. When you're interacting with teachers, listen and follow instructions. And ask for help. And also by being a helper to others. So if you see someone that's struggling, it's great to see if you can lend a hand. And when you need help, don't be afraid to ask for that help. Another great tip is to join clubs and groups so that you get involved in school life. Clubs are a very important part of secondary school. So joining is a great way to make friends, enhance your own skills and learn things, and to be a part of your school life. Some of the different clubs that you have, they may be different from your primary school or they may be similar. At the secondary school that I teach at, we have things like peer helpers, young leaders, Red Cross, cadets, the Dukers, and then various sports clubs, so football, basketball, etc., and what I call interest-based clubs, so dancing, singing, writing, student council. So when you get to your secondary school, you can ask about what clubs that they have and listen for when there's club registration so that you can join these types of activities. Next slide. Set goals for yourself when you get to your school. So I'm sure that you're used to setting little goals for yourself, even in primary school. So I always talk about you have personal goals and you have educational goals. So I gave you an example here. Some personal goals that you might want to set. So that might be to join 2 clubs for the year. This is just challenging you so that you have something to aspire to, so that you have something to work towards. An educational goal might be that you want to attain an 80% average in term 1. This gives you something to work towards as well. If we move on to the next slide, I'll tell you how to achieve those bigger goals by setting mini goals. So mini goals are smaller goals that help you achieve your overall goal. So as I said, if your first goal is to join 2 clubs for the year, then a mini goal might be to join 1 club in term 1 and 1 in term 2, which will help you reach your goal by the end of the year. An educational goal might be to study for 2 hours every night. That will give you an edge so that you can work towards that larger goal of achieving your 80% average by the end of the year. So I hope that's giving you an example of some of the goals that you can set for yourself, but it's always great to go in with a plan so that you know sort of where you're headed and you put yourself on a good path. Next slide. So one of the best tips I can share with you for secondary school is to manage your time. You will receive your timetable at the beginning of the year, and that will set out all of your classes, what time you have to be there, what time the class ends, and so on. So you basically know everything in advance. Once you have your timetable, you can make your own homework and study schedule. So you can plan sort of your evenings or your afternoons and how you want to use your time wisely based on your classes. I suggest that every single night you check your timetable to see what classes you have the next day. This will help you to be prepared so that you pack your school bag and you gather all of your supplies so that when you get to school the next day, you're not missing anything. You have everything that you need. Because as I said before, The more prepared you are, the better that you do. These are some things that I want you to be very mindful of, because taking care of yourself and what I call self-care is very important to making sure that you do well in secondary school. Sometimes we focus so much on the academics that we forget that if our mind and our body is not working well, we won't have the energy and the strength to do well in school. So I want you to always remember to eat well. So that means having a balanced diet, eating your fruits, your vegetables, your whole grains. Make sure you drink a lot of water. We live in the Caribbean where it's very hot. And so having your water with you at school each day will help you to stay hydrated. Get enough sleep. A lot of us don't do this, I think. The recommendation is usually around 8 hours of sleep per night. So try your best to set yourself up with a sleep schedule that allows you to get that. That makes sure that you have the energy for the next day, that you're rested, so you're not yawning and you're not falling asleep in class. Next slide. Exercise. So you don't have to go to the gym, you don't have to lift weights, but whatever you can do to get about 30 to 60 minutes of exercise each day. So whether this is playing at recess time or at lunch break, get involved in sports. You can walk or run, swim, dance, do whatever you do to get your body moving. And as I mentioned, self-care. So in general, I challenge every single student to do one thing each day that makes you feel good and makes you feel happy. So if that's dancing, listening to music, spending time with friends and family, whatever it is that kind of gives you a little break and lets you recharge is a good thing. I think I mentioned before that asking for help is an important part of secondary school. So as I mentioned, when you get there, you're going to be new. You're going to be one of the younger students. We don't expect you to know everything about the school, but if you go to people around the school to ask for help, they can guide you and they can make you feel more comfortable. So your teachers are a great resource, lean on them. Your school counselor, like someone like me, your parents, your trusted family members, and responsible friends and peers. These are great people to reach out to. So I mentioned if you're feeling overwhelmed, nervous, or if you just have questions, never be afraid to ask for support. This is what a lot of us are here for, is to guide you and to help you so that you feel more comfortable when you move on to secondary school. Next slide. So a few final tips that I have for you before we wrap up. Next slide. Okay, so we've talked today, I've given you a lot of tips, and I'm sure that you're going to continue to get tips over the next few months before you reach school. But I think the biggest tip that I can give you overall is to have a positive attitude and mindset. So start your journey thinking positively, and good things are likely to happen. I always find when I start with a positive mindset, good things follow. So I want you to go in thinking, I'm going to do well in secondary school, I'm going to make friends, I'm going to have a good time, I'm going to do well at my studies, because those are the things that will follow if you put yourself in that positive mindset. Number 2 is to be yourself. People are going to love you for who you are, and you are going to make friends by showing your true colors. And letting people see the real you. Do your best. No matter what school you go to, what school you pass for, if you work hard and give it your all, you will come out on top, okay? So always give your best effort and do your best. And number 4 is to be brave. I know it may seem overwhelming and scary now, but every single person in some way or form feels this way at first. And I'm sure by the end of your first week or first few weeks, you'll be thinking, this place is great and I love secondary school. Okay, and next slide. Okay, so just as primary school was once very new to you and you succeeded because look at where you are now in grade 6, I'm sure you'll look back after your 5 years of secondary school and say the same thing. So I want to wish you all the very best, wish you all luck in your secondary school journey. And as I mentioned, if you do have more questions, if you do need additional guidance, reach out to your teachers, reach out to the people around you for support. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. As I said, I wish I could be there with you personally, but I'm happy to have had the chance to share this information with you today. So again, I hope you enjoy the rest of today's activity. I think it's a great initiative that's being put on for you to help you prepare. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss Kayla Elaine, for that rousing presentation indeed. Very down to earth, and we trust that the students all across our member countries were paying keen attention. Remember that positive attitude is very important, and being yourself and doing your best. So thanks again, Mrs. LA, for that presentation. And now we will hear from past students. There are two past students, past mentorship students, that we have assigned to speak to you. So you've heard from Mrs. LA, and now you will actually hear from a student or two who have been through that experience, who have gone through from secondary to, from primary to secondary. And so we'll invite Nadjik Davis from Anguilla. He will be the first. And then we will have Lily Nichols from St. Christopher and Nevis. And so I want us to put our hands together and welcome Nadjik Davis from the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School right there in Anguilla to share just a few minutes of how was it for him. Let's hear about his experience, past mentorship student. Nadjik, go right ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nadjik Davis, a past ECCB primary mentorship student, and now a third form student here in Anguilla. I know that in your transition, you may feel worried, nervous, or even afraid of what to expect, which is why I am here to walk you through my experience of transitioning from primary to secondary school. I had a lot of challenges, expectations, and lessons that I learned while in transition. I can start by saying that it is okay to be scared. I knew that there were going to be lots and lots of other students from many different schools on island. I also knew that the work would get harder and there would be lots of distractions. I was afraid that my good grades would plummet, and guess what? For a short time, they did. For the whole of first form, I was not focused at all. While all my friends had their schedule memorized, here's me with a little piece of paper with the room numbers for my classes on it, searching and reaching to every class late because I was not focused. Who can guess what my number one distraction was? No. Who said girls? You're right, the girls. I say this because as young men and women, we are trying to find out who we are and where we want to be. And along the way, there will definitely be some distractions. Whether it is a crush, or trying to fit into a friend group, or simply trying to look cool, there will be distractions. While mentioning friends, I think I should tell you that friends, while good to have, are not necessary. And if I had to give you any advice on friends, I would say to choose wisely. Choose persons that see things the way you do, or persons who share similar interests as you, or friends who encourage you to do good. I like to say you should choose friends who use peer pressure in a good way and not a bad. So back to the story. Now this crush had all my focus. I wasn't doing assignments. I stayed up to talk to her late, had me falling asleep in class, the whole everything. It was only until I came to second form that I noticed what I was doing. While all my friends were getting good grades, guess what happened to mine? They dropped. And when second form rolled around and I was trying to get back on track, I had done so much damage academically that it was hard to do so. And I want to tell you guys from this part of the story that the girls or boys ain't going nowhere. They will always be there, but you also will not be going anywhere if you do not stay focused and aim high. I have a passion for music and play multiple instruments. I say this not to brag, but to lead me to my next point. Get busy and stay busy. You should always stay busy. Do things that force you to explore and things that challenge you. For me, I took up tennis, I play music, I'm a parliament member in the Anguilla Youth Parliament, the debate club, the steel orchestra, and the choir, all to stay busy. All of this, while it may seem like a lot, have helped me and taught me to stay focused and showed me the importance of having discipline. The discipline to practice an instrument or the discipline to study. This all comes in handy when the work gets tough. When the exams start rolling in and when you are finished school, you will thank yourself for doing it. You will be a well-rounded, trustworthy, and sophisticated individual. So back to first farm. I thought I could just breeze my way through the work while focusing on this crush. I was not serious, had not a care in the world but the crush. I thought I could rely on natural ability, but let me tell you, I know it might sound like I am saying the same thing over and over, but you have to stay focused. I do not care how smart you may be. It will still be difficult to do well if you do not take the time to prepare and revise. Another lesson that I have learned is communication. Communication. Please communicate with your teachers, principals, or counselor. If you are struggling with a class, do not be afraid to let someone know. If you do not understand something, tell the teacher. For example, I felt that if I were to tell a teacher that I do not understand, I would look as though I'm not smart, or they would send me to a lower band. But that is not the case at all. Because I have communicated with my teachers, I have been able to do better as a student. And let me tell you a secret. It makes the teachers feel good to see that you are trying and are interested when you ask questions in class. Like I said before, it took me some time to notice that all these children around me were children who were trying to be the best. And if I wanted to be the best, I had to shape up. Now, before I leave, I want to tell you that the memories you make now are memories that you will never forget. And you should cherish these memories and keep on making these memories. What I would like you to tell me, what are any fears that you think that you may encounter? Fears, challenges, or even what you are excited about. Anybody? Somebody say the vibes. Well, like I said before, the vibes ain't gonna go nowhere. So for now, it's best to focus on your schoolwork because when you are done, the boys that you will attract will be smart, talented young men who will like you for your knowledge and your sophistication. Anyone else?
Bad friend groups.
Bad friend groups. Once again, like I said, friends aren't necessary, and it is best to choose the friends wisely. If you feel that the energy, quote unquote, isn't good around you, it is best to just leave the situation. Excuse yourself from any situation that you do not feel comfortable or that you deem a distraction. Anyone else? That's it? You? Bullying? When it comes to bullying, anytime, like I said, anytime you feel that the energy is not right or something could be a distraction, communicate with a counselor, a principal, or a teacher. Do not let it escalate, or do not try to take matters into your own hands. Who said games? Okay, I can't tell you not to play any games, right? But you still have to have a balance. You have to balance playing your games for your own entertainment and balance the schoolwork, because at the end of the day, you can't just sit down and play games all the time. You have to have the balance between your games and your schoolwork. That's it. Anybody else? That would also fall under bullying. So like I said, just communicate. Tell a teacher, tell a principal, or tell the counselor. Anyone from on the Zoom session?
Is there anybody else who would like to ask a question of Nadjik? from any of the other countries? All right. Well, Nadjik, is there anybody? Okay. I'm not hearing anyone. Okay, so it seems as if you've captured it all. Right? How old are you, Nadjik?
I am 15 years old.
Oh, you're 15. Okay, very good. Very good. All right, well, so we want to thank you, Nadjik, for that excellent sharing about your experience. And I hope the boys and the girls are listening and they will remember to watch out for the crush. Right. That was very down to earth. Yes, indeed. And he was very real with that presentation. Now we will invite a female. So Nadjik spoke on behalf of the males, and now we will have Lily from a former student of Irish Town Primary, our mentorship school. She now attends the Washington Archibald High School. And so we'll now invite Lily Nichols to come and speak to you from the girls' perspective on her challenges, her experience. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone, and I will start my presentation now. My experience from Irish Town to Washington Archibald High School. Some of the challenges I faced are getting accustomed to the school having just more than just a few students. And
Master Control, we're not hearing so clearly from the host. The mic
Sorry.
has no thanks.
Okay. My experience from Irish Town to Washington Archibald High School. Some of the challenges I faced are getting accustomed to the school having just a few students and going from one teacher a day to having 4 to 5 a day with different personalities. My expectation...
Hello, we're not hearing at all. It's even lower now. Sorry about that. We don't want to miss you. I'm not sure if it's only us in Anguilla. We're not hearing.
Okay. My expectation from Irish Town to Washington Archibald High School. Some of the challenges I faced are getting accustomed to the school having more than just a few students and going from one teacher a day to having 4 to 5 a day with different personalities. My expectation for high school is to be able to get the basic knowledge for my dream career, which is being a fashion designer and an artist. What I plan to achieve is the betterment of my character and the grades to help me to my dream career. Lessons learned are to focus and to study hard, to be respectful to others and myself as well.
All right, so there you had it. You heard it from Nadjik and you heard it from Lily. And so, boys and girls, you have an idea of what to look out for, what to expect, okay, as you move from primary to secondary. We call it big school. From primary to big school. All right. Okay, we have a final session coming up, and we've got another guest speaker to present on the change in you. Now, this presentation has to do with changes in your body, physically, emotionally, mentally, as adolescents, okay, and how you'll deal with them as you transition. And so this is our final session, but a very important one indeed. And we have with us, standing by, a Dr. Tiffany Skerrit, a Monstratian doctor who recently completed studies at the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. She has a myriad of interests. to include performing arts, volunteerism, public health, baking, and entrepreneurship. In 2012, Dr. Skerrit won the ECCB Annual Regional Essay Competition in the junior category for secondary school students. There she is. All right. Congratulations. Okay, that's our winner there. And in her spare time, she's an active member of the Montserrat Children's Society. She enjoys traveling, creating reels on Instagram, making sweet treats, and socializing with friends and family. Boys and girls, I present to you Dr. Tiffany Skerrit, who will speak to you on the change in you. Welcome. Unmute and go right ahead. All set. Yeah, we can see you. It's just to hear you. So unmute. Yes, there you go. Yes.
All right, wonderful.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to try to share my screen. Oh, yes. So let me just share my screen. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. So let's go live. Let's go slideshow from the beginning. Just making sure. All right. So it's a pleasure to be here at Bridge Primary School today and to be joining the ECCB and students all across the Caribbean. I'm only 26, so I am young like you guys, right? I am not an old person. But as we get ready to talk about the changes that we're going to be going through, before we start, everybody has been sitting down for a while. So all of the students who are listening and can see, can you get up for me? I want everybody to stand up. Everybody stand up and get a good stretch in. Shake those legs out, shake the hands, shake the shoulders. You've been sitting for a while this morning. I want you to reach your hands all the way up to the sky, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, and all the way down to the toes. All the way good. And get to a good stretch. Wonderful. All right, you can have a seat. Right? Wonderful. All right. So, as I said, it's a pleasure to be here and to be talking to you about the changes, right? I'm going to turn this a little bit so I can speak with who is in front of me. I have some names. So I actually know the students wrote their names, I actually know who I'm talking to, so that's great. And we're going to be going through a series of topics this morning. As you can see featured on the front slide, we have our students from grade 6 Bridge Primary School, and they were doing their rendition of the territorial song this morning. All right, so quick introduction. We gave you an idea of who I am, what I do. I'm a medical doctor here on Ireland. I just returned from studies. I was studying in Jamaica for 5 years and worked there for 2 years. And I do a lot of other things. I do a lot of volunteering. I work with children. I sing sometimes. I bake cake sometimes. I do different things in my spare time, right? And so I'm here to share with you how I really got here and the changes that you're going to experience on your journey to becoming who you want to be. All right, next slide. So my icebreaker, this is going to be for everybody who can hear me, all the students. All I'm going to ask you to do, if you hear the sentence and it relates to you, put up your hand. So I'm going to say a sentence, and if it's true about you, raise your hand. I wish there was a way that you could see the other children. Is there a way for you guys to see both? I want you to be able to see your colleagues. This way? No? This one? Or this one? All right, good. Yeah? So y'all will see the presentation. I think you guys will still be able to see. All right, so ready for your icebreaker, everybody? Wave your hand if you can hear me. Yes? Wonderful. All right, good. All right, so questions ready. So this is for everybody. This is going to help you realize just how similar you are to your friends close by, right? These are all our neighbors. They live in Antigua. Antigua is only 20 minutes away from Montserrat. St. Kitts and Nevis is about half an hour by plane. So everybody is pretty close. Dominica is less than an hour away. If this is true about you, put up your hand. I was born in 2010. Let's see those hands. I was born in the Caribbean. Put up those hands if you were born in the Caribbean. Nice. I love going to the beach. Sometimes, all right. So put your hands down in between. I was born in 2011. All right. Very good. I love basketball. A few basketball lovers in the house, all right. I have a sister. Put up your hand if you have a sister. How many people have a sister? Some lucky people out here. I don't have a sister, so big up yourselves, all right? If you live on an island that has a volcano, put up your hands. I see Dominica hands up. Montserrat hands up. Who else we can't see? All Grenadines and Vincent people, your hands are up as well, all right? Put up your hand if it is that you like to do TikTok dances or know about TikTok. Anybody here know about TikTok? All right, yes. We have some TikTokers. Put up your hand if you live in a country that uses EC dollar. If your country uses EC dollar, put up your hand. That's supposed to be everybody because all of us live in the OECS, right? And we're part of the ECCB, so I'm supposed to see all hands up. All right, the last set of questions. These are interesting questions. Put up your hand if one of your parents is from another country. Yeah, so we have some diversity all throughout, right? That's very good. And funny enough, you can put down your hands. Funny enough, one of my parents is from here and one of my parents is from Dominica. So we have that mixing going on throughout the Caribbean. Put up your hands if you are happy put up your hand if you're happy to be leaving your school. I see a couple of people are happy to be leaving their school. Yes, the Dominica students. And my students here are happy as well. Okay, hands down. Put up your hand if you think being an adult is fun. My friends here at grade school, somebody whispered the mortgage. So some people here know that some pressures of being adults is paying bills, right? Put down your hands. And my last question, put up your hands if when you grow up, you want to be happy. Everybody hand up? All right, so that's our icebreaker. So you guys will realize that no matter where you are right now, despite being in different islands, you're very similar, right? You're going through similar experiences, you have similar feelings, and you're all making this very big transition. What do I want to say to you first, though? I want to say congratulations. Why? Because being in grade 6 is a big deal, right? You've made it through all of these grades, all of these teachers. You're finally at the top of your school and you're the oldest students and the cool kids in the school. And in addition to that, being born between 2009, 2010, 2011 means that you've seen some major events in this world. You've survived the pandemic. Hands up if you survived the pandemic. Right, hands down. I want to have a question. Put your hands down. Hands all those who ever had COVID. Put up your hand. Right, put down your hands. So we realize that we've gone through many changes. All right, you're with me? We've survived a lot of things. Many of us, as I said, have had COVID, have had friends and family who've had COVID and have survived. That's a big deal. That's worth being congratulated for. And so as you come, yeah, and so as you complete this chapter, as you go on to high school to secondary school, I want to encourage you. And we're just going to have a quick chat about what are some changes that you're going to experience? What are some things that you're going to feel as you transition? And we're going to talk real. You know why we're going to talk real? Because I was once in grade 6 just like you, right? So I understand what it's like, the stress, the excitement, the nervousness about moving on to high school. We're going to talk about some physical changes. We're going to talk about some mental changes and some emotional changes. Now, unfortunately, I can't provide my gifts to those who are not here, but I have some special surprises for those who are paying attention at the end, who can remember some of the things we spoke about. So stay tuned, right? All right, we're starting with the physical changes. So these are my students from this morning again, and we're going to talk about physical changes. What are some of the changes you think you're going to feel or observe, right? I already have hands, that's a good sign. Come forward if you have, so they can hear you. So come for me. Just walk quickly, just so that you can hear. So somebody's coming to tell us about some of the physical changes they expect as they get older. Yes? What's your name? Kason says puberty is one of the changes. Is he correct? Is he correct? Hands up for Kason. Who else has a contribution? What other changes? Well, puberty is a big word, right? So puberty basically means all the changes that you're going to experience because you're moving from childhood to adulthood. And we're going to talk in detail about that because as a doctor, that is some of the things that I study and that's some of the things that we can break down, right? So you're going to have all these physical changes and they're going to be hormones in your body. Hormones are these special chemicals that help to bring about change, to bring about some type of action in the body. And so this diagram kind of helps you sum up, although your own is blocked, right? So in men and boys, you tend to have development of facial hair. So those of you who have brothers and bigger brothers and daddies, you have a mustache. You might get, right? You might get a beard. These are normal changes that you expect. For girls and boys, you start to develop to see hair growing under the arm and over the pubic area. That is normal. So I want everybody to chant with me the word normal. Say normal for me. Normal. The changes you're going to be seeing over the next 1 to 5, 1 to 6 years are normal. Very good. So these changes include, as we said, hair is going to develop under the arms. Hair is going to grow for the boys. You might realize that your arm is getting hairier, your legs also getting hairier, right? As you get older, you're going to see hair growing over your private areas, that is over the vagina and over the penis. That is normal. What did I say? That is normal. Very good. These changes, my students, are normal. This is what all of us who are older than you have experienced. And for some of you, you might already start seeing certain things changing. That is to be expected over the next few years. What else can we expect for our guys? Right? We're going to talk real. The hair might also come onto the chest as well, right? So you might get chest here. And for the guys as well, you will notice that parts of you are growing. You get taller. Right? You start to feel stronger. The muscles start to get, yes, I have a hand. What else? Your voice gets deeper. Now, I want to warn some of you, right? Just before it gets deeper, sometimes you get a little squeaky. So sometimes you're going to say, teacher, and it comes like, teacher, right? Because the voice is going to change. But all of that is? No. Very good. So we're going to talk some more about these changes and we're going to, and for the guys as well. So we spoke about growth. We're going to get taller, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get wider, you're going to be heavier, you're going to start putting on more weight. But other parts are also going to start to grow. So your penis and your testes, all right, that's right, it's okay. All of these changes are normal. The penis is going to get longer, the testes are going to get bigger. All of these changes are normal. So for the girls, right? Guys, remember we said, we're talking about this real. I can't come to talk to you about fake things, it's real things. All these things are? No. Right? Very good. For our female counterparts, the girls, what are we going to see, right? As we said, the hair is going to develop. So we know that there's already hair under the arms, hair on the pubic area, at the top of the vagina, over the vagina, that's normal. You notice you're going to get taller, your hips are going to get wider. And you're going to have development of breasts. All of that is? Right? So when you're going to high school and you realize, you might realize that initially when you go to first form, when you go to first form, the shirt that you have in first term might not fit you in second term, might not fit you in third term.
Excuse me, Tiffany. Excuse me. The audio is being affected when you turn. So if you could, as much as possible, yes. Thank you. All right. Appreciate it.
Right. For the clothes, your clothes might start to fit a bit tighter because you start to develop the breast, so the hips might get wide. That is? No. Very good. What other changes will we see? So we're going to put on some weight. Ladies, the breasts are going to grow, the hips are going to get wide. Remember as well that the skin might change. So right now, a lot of you I see some very nice skin, right? And I'm telling you that doctor had gone through some times when her skin was covered in some bumps, right? And you're gonna try to pop the bumps and you're gonna try to get rid of the bumps. But the acne and the bumps are? No. So acne and having oilier skin is part of the transition that you experience. And so we're not very surprised when we see our boys and the forehead breaks up with the bumps and the girls having all of that is part of the puberty and all of that is part of the transition. What else major is gonna happen for our girls, right? So a lot of you, I mean, the fact that our student mentioned puberty means that you know about, or you should know about periods, right? And if you don't know about periods, I'm gonna give you a quick summary. Young ladies and young gentlemen, so that if you have a friend in the class and you notice anything, you can make the adjustment. At some point in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, your body, in particular, an organ called your uterus is going to begin to shed monthly. For some of you here, you might have already had your first period, and it is? No. Right. When you have your period, what does it do? Right? Periods are just your body, in particular your uterus, shedding some of the blood, shedding some of the lining that it would usually use to prepare for a baby. But you're not ready for a baby yet, but your body is doing the preparation over the years to come, right? And so that is what is going to be happening every month for the next few years until you stop. And teacher can tell all when you're big, you're still going to have it until it goes away. You're going to have this monthly experience. What to look out for? Sometimes you don't realize it's coming, especially when you first start having your period. You might be at school and then you just realize that you feel a little bit down, or your friend might tell you, oh, you have something red on your skirt, on your dress. What should you do? You should not laugh. You should not make that person feel bad. You should not embarrass the person and laugh and point fingers. Why? Because periods are? No. I want everybody to say with me, periods are? No. It is a normal process that all of us will go through as females. So what you can expect, sometimes when we have periods, me for example, I get very bad cramps, or I get very sick and I want to vomit and I feel very ill. Some persons have those changes, some persons don't. Some people just have their period with no pain and it just goes, right? But after a while, it's going to happen every month. Initially, it might not be every month. It usually lasts a few days, anywhere from 3 to 5 days. Some people have it a bit longer. And when you go home, what you're going to do, if you have not started seeing your period yet, is to have that conversation with mommy or daddy if they haven't had that conversation yet. Why? Because you want to be prepared, right? You don't want to be at school one day and get surprised without having the tools that you need. So mommy and daddy are going to give you a pouch. Your pouch will have, sometimes you can put extra toilet paper in there, some type of sanitary napkin or a pad. I see somebody in SVG St. Vincent laughing, but remember we said that the periods are normal. So we're not surprised that your fellow classmates are going to have their little pouch with what they need. It might also be helpful to have an extra pair of underwear. Why? Because sometimes the underwear mess up, right? And that is normal. Now, if you talk with your fellow classmates when you go to high school, you'll realize eventually all of you will be having periods and the conversation can happen. And you should be comfortable to talk about periods with your fellow classmates because having a period is a normal thing. Having these symptoms is a normal thing, right? So that's one of the major changes that will go on for females during puberty. But guys, let me tell you what your role is. How can you help, right? I see a hand up, yes.
It knows that you can help it by not laughing.
Good.
Helping them in any possible way.
Very good. So we have a smart young man here who says, if you see another girl who is in your class and you realize she has her period, or maybe she's not feeling well that day, you don't laugh after her, you don't pick on her. Yes, I have another hand.
You can shield the girl so that nobody else can see.
You can shield the girl. Very good. What is your name? Daquan gave a good suggestion. So if it is, let me give you a demonstration. If it is that you have a girl, right, and you're sitting down, sometimes when you're sitting down, if you are sitting down on your chair and you realize she gets up and you see a spot maybe on her skirt, like a reddish spot, then instead of laughing, you can just go to her and say, for example, my name is Tiffany. Excuse me, Tiffany, we see a little dot on your skirt, and you let her know and you try to shield her in case nobody else has seen. It's not something to be embarrassed about because periods and puberty is normal. Excellent. So this is just an introduction for you. You know, you're going to have this conversation many more times throughout the next couple of years as you begin to see the changes. Another thing I should mention to our young men, is that with the increase, as you get older and you find somebody you might like, right? Sometimes when you think of these people, you think of the girl or you see a nice looking lady, you might become excited. And as a result of that, you become aroused. What does that mean, right? We're talking real, right? That is why doctor is here. Doctor is here to talk real so that everybody is aware. You might feel excited and you might realize that something in the pants is getting firm. You might feel that sensation in the pants, and it's because that is a normal reaction to becoming excited or attracted to somebody. It's called an erection, right? Now today is a conversation that you had in science class. Maybe you've heard it before. Maybe you have a big brother or a big sister or a cousin who's told you these things, or mommy and daddy has started the conversation. This conversation is to continue. It is not to end here because you're 10, you're 11, you're 12, and these conversations should happen. Yes, Stefan? You're 13, and so you're older, so you will have started to have changes. Somebody in here or somebody in your class, I'm sure, has already had the experience of maybe having a period, or if not having a period, you see the breast starting to grow. All of these changes are normal. So we've gone through the physical changes very quickly, and you guys are sharp because you guys know exactly what's going on. Let us move on to, that's just a summary. Let us move on to the mental changes, right? Let me move this out of the way. So as you go to MSS, Mrs. Alain did an excellent job of telling you about how you can prepare. You'll realize that your mind begins to increase. You're able to think of all sorts of things that you've never imagined before. You'll also realize that you start to think back and you realize that, you know, some of the things that you thought were true, or some of the things that you learned in primary school may not be 100% true anymore as you learn other things, and there's nothing wrong with that. You'll also begin to choose for yourself what you think is right and wrong, what you think is appropriate, and you'll begin to decide for yourself who you want your friends to be, who you don't want your friends to be, and all of these mental changes are normal and will happen throughout the next few years as you move into high school and move into secondary school. Our young friend from Anguilla made a very good point that it's going to be very important that we take some time to focus, right? How many subjects do you guys do now at school? How many subjects? 5 subjects, right? And you're going to go into first form. Some people call it grade 7. And you're going to have a whole heap more subjects, right? Some of you might have 8, some might have 10. When I was in first form, I feel like we had maybe 15 or 16 subjects. But guess what? Your brain is able with time to expand and learn new things. All of these changes are normal. All right. You also find that you have to take time to process and to think about how to adjust to this new space. MSS is not grades primary school. So MSS is our high school here. MSS is not grades primary school. So all these teachers that you have here are going to change. The persons you might know are some of the students who are ahead of you who left last year and the year before. So you have some familiar faces, but for the large part, there will be new faces and new teachers. You having these feelings, any of the following feelings is normal. Here at Brace Primary School, they encourage you to be brilliant, to be productive, to be successful. All of these things you're going to carry with you as you move on to secondary school and transition. Now, I know all of you know about emojis and emoticons, so let us go through these real quick. I want you to be able to still see the students. All right. So how are you going to feel over the next few years? Maybe you're happy about leaving grades, or you're leaving your school, Valley Primary School, or for those of you in Dominica, you're leaving Roseau. You're excited about leaving. You're happy about leaving. Some of you may be angry, right? Why might you be angry about making this transition? Yes? Right. You might be angry because you're leaving friends behind. Why would you be sad? Why might you be sad? Yes? You may not be in the same classes with your friends, right? So that's something to warn you about. You see, right now, all of you have been going to school together for maybe years and years. And as of September, you might not be in the same class with persons who you're very, very close with anymore. And having sad feelings or angry feelings about that is normal. Some of you might be feeling shy. Some of you might be feeling bossy. You know, you're going to go over there and you want to run the show and you want to tell teacher what and what. I see some hands, fingers being pointed. But once it is that your bossiness is directed in the right way. What do I mean by that? I was a very outspoken and bossy-like person. But how did I control that? How did I take it down? I ensured that I was always polite. I tried to listen, because bosses are persons who listen and take lead. So there's nothing wrong with being a leader. There's nothing wrong with taking charge. There's nothing wrong with asking to or volunteering to be in charge of something. But it's important that you listen. It's important that you're polite while you're doing that. Some of us are feeling curious. We're wondering, what is it going to be like to go to a new school with new teachers and new students and new environment? And that curiosity is a good thing. Curiosity is what encourages us to keep learning, to want to try new things, and all of that will help with how you cope. So let's talk a little bit about relationships. My friend from Anguilla gave a good hint that, you're going to be having crushes and you're going to be liking people. All of that is normal. For some of you right now, stay with me, for some of you right now, you might already have somebody who you're crushing on. What do I mean by that? Somebody that you kind of like, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. As you get older, you're gonna like more people, you might like the same person, and having these feelings of excitement towards seeing other people and seeing new people is fine. Good morning. It's all about how you manage it. So your crush and who you like cannot come at the sacrifice of your grades, cannot come as a sacrifice of your focus, right? But this is just a heads up that you feeling attracted to somebody is a normal thing. Don't think that you shouldn't feel attracted to them, because all of us as humans, because we're humans, have an attraction or want to be with people, want to have friends. What are some things to look out for? I've mentioned here cliques, gangs, and peer pressure. These are changes in the relationships that you're going to observe. Some of your friends now might not be your friends when you go over for whatever reason, and that is okay, because we have the choice to choose who we want to be friends with and who we don't want to be friends with, right? It's about accepting that decision and making good decisions about making new friends, right? So as I said, you are all together now, but you might not all be together in September. Most of you might be in one class, or half in one class, half in another class, or 2 people in this class, 2 people in that class, and it's going to be something that you need to be aware of, and you need to try to make new friends. Okay? How do we make new friends? We're open-minded, we stay respectful, we stay polite, and we stay and we try to be ourselves. If you have to change to be somebody's friend, it's not a good sign. So if you realize that that crowd always rude and that crowd always bad, and the only way to be a part of that crowd is to be rude and bad, leave them alone. It don't make sense. You hearing me? Yes. It's true. You want to attract and be around persons who are good and who are doing positive things and are doing good things. All right, other ways. How can we cope with all these changes? So enough things we talk about, the truth. I've spoken about so many things and you're all ready for lunch and for snacks and nice things. How do we cope? How do we manage these changes, right? Some of us play games. Some of us find ways to get outdoors and exercise and play and have fun. Some of us like talking to our parents or talking to our friends. All of these are good and healthy ways of coping with all these changes. And I've given you a short little list. Mrs. Alain made mention of some of them before, but talking to somebody you trust. Right? Some of you have never seen me before, but I work in between the hospital and the community center. If you know a nurse, if you know a doctor, if you have a friend or somebody who you want to confide in when you're having hard times or you're feeling stressed out, that is normal and that is something you should want to do. For some of you as well, it might be a teacher who is here still at the grade school, and it's okay to visit sometimes and say, you know, Teacher Jose, I'm just stress me out and I can't bother. And you come and you share your burdens and she has to listen, right? It's also good to help express how you feel by writing things down. Some of you might want to get a journal or a book or something where you can just jot down, you know, today was a hard day. I feel stressed because I didn't submit my homework on time. I didn't get to play enough, you know, and it's okay to write it down and get out your feelings. Being prepared, Mrs. Alain mentioned that packing your bag from the day before, having some girls having your little pouch in case a period comes, and make sure you always have that. If you need medication for the pain, you have that. All of that is part of being prepared. Having your sports clothes at MSS, because you're not going to dress in your sports clothes, you're going to pack it, making sure you're ready for the day before the day starts. And it's also important to find ways to relax. Whatever your way to relax is. For me, I love sleep. Who else in here loves sleep? Who else out there loves sleep? And sleeping is your way to relax. I see some hands going up. No? Some people there in Grenada don't like sleeping at all, boy. None of them want to sleep. Well, sleeping is one of my ways to relax. And there's nothing wrong with sleeping or taking a nap. Reading books, choosing good friends, and setting boundaries. Now, I'm going to close on this note because we're almost finished. But I just want to end by talking about setting boundaries, right? What does that look like as you go into this new school and you have all these changes? It's okay to say no. Can you repeat after me? It's okay to say no. And your no must mean no. So, for example, what's your name? Dejnel, right? Dejnel says she's and she's paying attention. Somebody have one of mine? Okay. And I go to Dejnel. And say, come, let's go outside now. Let's go run behind the building. And Dejnel says, no, but we have 20 more minutes of class. We can wait until lunchtime. And I say, no, man, Dejnel, let's go now. And she says, no. That no is final, right? You don't have to feel the need to say no again. You don't have to feel the need to feel pressure. When you say no, that is final. Who's that one? You're that one. That one, if a girl comes up to you and she starts touching you without your permission, and you are uncomfortable, listen to what I'm saying, because it can happen. It may not be somebody you know. It might be somebody who is older, second form, third form, fifth form, and she said to herself, boy, that boy, that look good boy, let me go touch it. If it is that she comes up to you and you're uncomfortable, right, and she tries to touch you, you have the right to say, there's nothing wrong with saying no, and that no is final. One more scenario. All right, it's sports time, right? So, during sports time, you get to go down to the park and practice for sports day. And you have a set of girls and guys, you realize, lurking behind a building, right? Behind the bleachers. It's true, let me tell you two things. I'm telling you about these things that I've experienced and see. And you see some girls lurking behind a building and they're telling you, come here, come and try what we have. And when you go behind it, what you said, say the word, what's the word? And it's drugs, it's cigarettes, and it's alcohol, and it's pills. What do you have the right to say? No. And your no can, that's another one. But your no is final, and you have the right to walk away without feeling pressure. Now, grade 6 students, as we close, I want us to do a quick recap. What are some of the physical changes that we said you can, I see hands already, boy. All right, we need more gifts. All right, go ahead. Puberty is the heading, but what specific change? Give me one change that boys go through. Pubic hairs, yes, good. Periods. Boys. No, you can give me anyone, that's fine. Periods, okay, good.
The
voice deepens. Mustache, facial hair, good. Hips get wider. Beards. Muscle X-man here, you get stronger, yes. You get taller. Here under the arm. Yes, my friend at the back, that was what you're gonna say? That's okay. No, the young lady behind you, go ahead. Who else hasn't said something who wants to give me one? Okay, that's fine. So physical changes. What are some of the mental changes? What do we have to adjust for, yes?
Some boys and girls are attracted to each other.
Yes, being attracted to other people is normal, yes. What are the emotional changes? What other emotions you might go through because you go into a new school? You might feel sad, yes. Embarrassed. Give me some positive emotions you might feel. Happiness, Excitement. Anxious, yes. You might feel anxious, you might feel nervous on the first day. You might feel nervous on the first 3 days, the first 3 weeks, the whole of first term. That is normal. So what I want to do is for you to give yourselves a big round of applause. All of these things we've discussed today have to do with the changes that you will experience and the changing you. And these are changes that you are not to be ashamed of, you're not to be embarrassed about, because this is all part of growing up. And this is all part of you eventually becoming an adult in the society, right? And being whoever it is you want to be, whatever you want to do in life, whatever you want to do, whether you want to be a teacher, doctor, lawyer, you want to be a makeup artist, you want to be a nail tech, you want to be a carpenter, no matter what it is, all of these changes are going to occur in order for you to get there. And that is,
Well,
all right, good. Well, that's it for me. Thank you for having me. And it was a pleasure, guys. If you see me on the street.
all right. Let's hear it for Dr. Tiffany. And if there's one word, I am sure that you remember, boys and girls, from this presentation, is that it is normal, right, for these things to happen. We want to thank Dr. Tiffany for that enlightening and very engaging presentation. And, you know, I can see the boys and girls really enjoy themselves and they were into it. That brings us to the end of our session today. But before we leave, I just want to get one quick word, a response from each of the islands on what you learned from this session today. If you can just tell me in one word. Is there a word that you remember, something that stands out for you from our session today with all the presentations and the various ones? Let's go from Anguilla, come right down to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Anguilla, tell me one thing you learned today, what you're taking away. Anybody? Anguilla? Anything stands out for you? Valley Primary? What about Dominica? Antigua and Barbuda? That's Dominica? Yes?
I learned about the changes in secondary school.
All right. It changes in secondary school. Anybody else? Let's take two more volunteers. What did you learn today from any one of the islands? Oh, definitely. Those changes are normal. All right. St. Kitts, St. Nevis, anything from you? All right. All right. Okay, you're on screen. Go ahead. What did you learn today?
That everything you experience is normal.
Okay, that's the word. So these changes are normal. Boys and girls, I trust that you have really enjoyed this session today, and you have learned quite a lot. And the presenters, they were wonderful, and they were able to share with you on the experiences as you transition from primary to secondary. So we've come to the end of our session, and we want to thank all those of you who were a part of our session today, and those of you who have been viewing online, Facebook and YouTube. We want to thank you for joining us, okay, as we bring this session to a close. And we want to wish all our students all the best as they move from primary up to secondary, right? And so at this time, we will close officially this session, and there's some refreshments that are prepared for the boys and girls in the various territories. So we invite you to enjoy your refreshments and have a great day today as you go back to your school. And remember, all these changes that are happening to you are normal. All right. Thank you so much, and have a good day. Bye-bye.